Magandang araw sa inyo mga kababayan. Kamusta po kayo? Ngayong Tuesday, it's June 16. The other half of June has started already. Ito ngang June, maraming mga activities all over Canada because the weather is better. It's very nice some days, no, in some parts of Canada. So wherever you're watching us from, whether here in Canada or in the Philippines or you're in the Middle East or somewhere in Asia, let us know where you're watching from. And some of you will probably watch this delayed, hindi na tayo live, but that's okay. Let's start our day first today with a greeting. Hi, EAMJD and Pas Mercado. Hello to you. Philbert Wong present. Mike Kabski. Hey, hey, sa office. Okay. Habang nasa opisina si Mike nanunood. That's good. Medyo I can imagine, nakatago lang siguro yung telepono mo on one side. But then, you know, these days, a lot of us just, are free to do our work. Kung kaya naman natin gawin yung trabaho natin di ba? We can do other things on the side. It's very dependent on what the output is more than what you do in between. Go Tuesday! Hi, Anjo, running. Ayan. So, nasa control booth natin ngayon, Jeff and Anjo. Yan, present. I don't know if you can still show yourself. Sometimes we show the control booth once in a while. So if you can, or not today, okay, another day. But we'll start our day first today with a congratulations message because I got the message this morning, Toronto time, that my inaanak graduated summa cum laude in medical biology at the De La Salle University in the Philippines. Paulo Topacio, congratulations to you, Pau Pau. Pau Pau tawag namin nung bata siya, diba? So now he's a university graduate. So Paulo Topacio, and to the proud parents, Peewee and Hasmin Topacio. I'm sure you're over the moon. Paulo's parents are also super smart, especially his dad, Peewee. Kaya nasa DNA ni Paulo yan. So those are the young-looking parents, diba? Kita niyo naman ang kanyang mga magulang, our friends. So very, very proud of Paulo, definitely. And his siblings also. He has 3 sisters. Yan. So Paulo, I believe, wants to be a medical doctor. So that's something exciting. We're glad that you're adding to the medical profession, whether you practice in the Philippines or elsewhere. So I asked the details from his mom. Paulo finished BS Biology, major in medical biology, minor in psychology, summa cum laude, Jose Rizal Honor Society Award, Loyalty Award. He got the highest score in the National Medical Admissions Test, which is 99 plus, and he has received a full scholarship in Ateneo School of Medicine. Yan. Congratulations, Paolo. Ninang is very proud of you. I've seen him as a baby, as a child. And now, this achievement. Ganito nga ang feeling ng tumatanda. Totoo yan, pinakyaw niya ang mga awards. And he's not nerdy. He's also very, he's not just bookish nerdy. He's also very social, no? He's also part of a lot of clubs in La Salle. So, go, Paolo. We are behind you all the way. Congratulations. Ayan, 'di ba? Ang ganda ng ating bukas ngayong araw na ito. And I'm also excited because we have a guest and we'll go straight to our guest para we'll have a long time to talk to her, no? We have with us today a representative of Salaysay Toronto because I wanted to get to know more about the group, no? Salaysay Toronto or Salaysay Collective is a vibrant group of Filipino-Canadian writers based in the Greater Toronto area. It's dedicated to elevating and preserving Filipino voices in Canada's literary arts. So the group is made up of Filipino authors, poets, storytellers from different generations and genres. You'll find authors of comic books, fiction, fantasy, children's books, poetry, wellness, and travel. And what they do is they build a community through literary arts festivals, publishing panels, mga author readings, and writing workshops. And their mission is to ensure that Filipino narratives are heard, to reclaim the space within the Canadian literary landscape, and fight to include stories that are being historically overlooked or silenced, no? So this group frequently partners with mga local libraries and arts and culture centers like the Toronto Public Library, for example, to host public event. So it's definitely worth knowing, no, whether we're interested in books or not. But we should be. No, with us today is Rachel Evangeline Chong. She is a Toronto-based author and an active member of Salaysay. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, and congrats to Paolo for the summa cum laude.
You heard about the ano, no, the litany of
Yeah.
his achievements. Nakaka-proud talaga. Thank you for joining us, Rachel. Before we talk about Salaysay, I know that's the reason why I reached out to you. I
Mm-hmm.
reached out first to Jenny Bonifacio. A lot of the Filipino community know Jenny, and she's an author as well, no, with her wonderful book, no. That she wrote about immigrants here in the Philippines. And
Yes.
yeah, so, but we before we talk about Salaysay, the group, we want to talk about your own artistry first.
Wow, okay.
Yes, because when I looked you up and I was trying to do my research about you,
Mm.
your works have won awards and have been recognized and recommended by prestigious art bodies in Ontario. You've written two comic books, as far as I know. Dark
Yes.
Magic and the 57th Kidney. Very
Yes.
interesting title, something that parang I want to read myself and something that I believe my daughter will be very interested in
Mm-hmm.
also. You graduated from the University of Toronto as a linguistic
Linguist.
specialist.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
with a focus on ultrasound technology. Wow, this is so interesting. And you're married to a jazz and hip hop R&B drummer. That sounds like a formula for an exciting life.
It is. It is. It's only sustainable with 8 hours of sleep. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, so tell us about that. Tell us about like what you're busy with and yeah, like your love affair with writing.
You know what? The when people ask me what I want to do with my life, I told them I've always wanted to write. It's more than
Mm-hmm.
that. I feel like writing is just something I'm meant to do or I'm supposed to do. It's something I've never questioned. And when you're a child, you sort of imagine publishing a novel, and that's actually where I am at the moment. I'm
Mm-hmm.
currently working on a novel, and it's been backed by grants from the government, from the Toronto Arts Council, and also the Ontario Arts Council. So that is ideally what I should be doing in all my spare time, working on my novel that is coming up hopefully in the near future. I know I won't be silent about it when it comes out.
And let's show the picture of her novel. The novel she's working on now is called A Single Bead of Water. Oh, this is the comic book. Yeah. This is the
Mm-hmm.
comic book, which we're also interested in. I love reading comic books. I discovered the love for comic books when my children started buying them. Well, of course, I had
Mm-hmm.
that interest also when I was a kid. I know that Rachel grew up here, but in the Philippines, yung mga comic book sa kanto, minsan pinaparent, Rachel. I know you still
Mm.
understand Tagalog, but we have
Yeah.
comic books that are being hung on parang the clothesline. This one, they hang, yeah, they hang the comic books because they're soft cover and they're kind of like a
Mm.
magazine but thin.
Mhm.
So yung mga nakakaalala, yung mga ka-generation ko, pupunta kami sa sari-sari store and then we would rent the comics there. Naalala ko yung
Oh.
mga yeah, it's a compilation of different comic. Pretty much like what you see on the Sunday paper, but like a compilation. And longer. Pugad Baboy, according to Filbert. Yes, that's one of those. At
Mm.
saka yung Nick Nock. I don't know if you remember this kid, this mischievous kid na maluwag yung shorts. But anyway, some of you might be able to relate to that. I just want to read some of the comments, Rachel. Sabi ni Patsy or ni Mike, I love the earrings. I'm sure he's referring to
Thank
your earrings.
you.
It is beautiful. What
Thank
is
you.
it? Corals?
No, it's clay.
Oh. And like what it's supposed to be, it has those two spokes.
My mother-in-law thinks they're teeth, but they're actually
Yeah, I
supposed to
was
be they're
thinking.
called night crawlers. It's like Bigfoot. It's a
Night
type of creature.
crawlers.
Yeah.
Interesting. I see that as kind of the pupong. Yes, that's true. That's so funny. I love that. Um, I see that as a. Sorry, what was I saying? Okay, this is. funny comics, tama, totoo. So this is, we're showing now an illustration of the novel that you're working on. It's called A Single Bead of Water. Tell us a little bit about the plot. What is it about?
The plot is it's a mix of like medical drama, if you like that, and also
Mm,
the characters are all veterinarians, so like doctors for animals. And because it's set in a fantasy world, sometimes like mythological creatures like the Bakunawa, for example, they're all gods in this world, and sometimes, they can get sick. So then we have these veterinarians who are magical that are meant to take care of them. So the plot of the story is the biggest god of the world, the Bakunawa, is sick. So now these three
mm,
veterinarians who are friends have to cure it. And that's the story. So it's set in the
okay.
Philippines, a fantasy version of the Philippines.
That's a very interesting story. And when you say veterinarian and the god
Mm.
being sick, I'm kind of thinking uh of our ano bang tawag, mga albularyo natin. But then these are
Mm.
veterinarians, so that's like a
Mm.
medical doctor. But um what inspires you for this particular novel, for example? Where'd you get the inspiration to for that kind of plot and the
If I
characters?
if I must be really honest, I love animals. And I
Mm.
really wanted to write a story about animals and not just in a very like my pet dog way, but in like
Yeah.
the difference how animals have different anatomies than us, and it means they have different needs than humans do. And in a way we can see ourselves reflected in that. And I also wanted to talk about the role of Filipinos in the medical industry as well. I feel like it
Oh.
goes really like there's no spotlight on it. Like if you watch medical dramas, for example, there's very few Filipinos, ironically,
Yes.
in the
I
ensemble,
have to
right?
put my hands on my waist on that one.
Yeah.
Like, hello, you are not
Hmm.
being, you're definitely not being accurate with that. Imagine, 'cause I'm a fan of Grey's Anatomy. How many
Yeah,
seasons? 30 plus? And what? Not one. Once in a while, I think one or
exactly.
twice they had like a Filipino um, guest or a patient. But like part of the system, you're not representing it properly. Hello. Yeah, go ahead.
Exactly. So it was because of things like that. And I wanted to, again, this is the prompt of this book really is I'm trying to write a book that 14-year-old me would have wanted to read. Like in the end, this
Mm.
is a book for myself. And it's basically just making my own dreams come true and having fun with it.
That's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. You know, it's a to be able to make a project for yourself, and then we as the audience are just basically looking in on your dream, on your journey, what you wanted to do when you were a kid. You know, that mix of your love for animals. I believe ako with how you mesh that up with
Mm.
the reality of Filipinos being in the medical industry and all in this story. So it must be an exciting journey. When are we gonna expect it on the shelves?
Currently, right now, the whole manuscript is written. I'm just cleaning up everything.
So soon.
And we're hoping that when I start querying it out and sending to publishers, it will be picked up quite quickly. But I have a lot of confidence because if it's not going to happen through publishing, I'm going to make it happen somehow to get it out to people.
Yeah, that's the spirit. And you've also
Hmm.
tapped into the right channels, no? You have been awarded grants, no? I was just wondering, like for a lot of artists or the Filipino artists who may be watching us right now and maybe do not know how to go that route, are there any advice or message that you can give them?
I think one thing, again, like there's the very logistical, if your government, for example, if you're a Filipino Canadian, if your government has artist grants, to check out the grants, what they list, and also take the resources seriously because they would have workshops of people willing to tell you how you should write your grant in order for it to be successful. But if I was going to give maybe more boots on the ground advice, be present in other people's lives. I would not be here if it wasn't for everyone who took a chance on me, but that's because I was present at the other people's events, at their celebrations, and so Liza is a really, really big example of this. Be active, be present, and also just be a kind of person that people want to be around because the world in the Filipino arts is really small. Like I've
Mm.
discovered every week how small it is. Everyone knows everybody. And you want to be known as someone who is nice, good, great to be around, someone who's kind, and who also follows up in their promises. So those are honestly, that would be my biggest advice if you want to make it, whatever make it
Mm-hmm,
looks
mm-hmm.
like in the industry as a Filipino.
That's very interesting and very practical. You're giving us a peek on how it looks like to actually be there, because it's a
Hmm.
different thing if you have a dream and you have even when you're able to write your manuscript, but to be able to put it out there and
It's
have
yeah.
it in fruition, to see it being read by other people, to get to that level, there are very practical things that you should do. But while you were saying those things, me, like if I was an artist, I was already kind of being intimidated with that kind of
Mm.
set. It sounds tedious, but like, how did you start out? How did you get to this point where you're already in that circle? You're moving in that circle, and you know what to do. Maybe like a message to someone who's like they're just starting out their journey as writers, because we do need a lot more Filipino works to go out in the Canadian literary scene, right? They
Hmm.
need to know our stories. They need to see how we look like. They need to know our characters, the Bakunawa, all of our islands. They need to get a feel of the Filipino culture.
Um, I would say as words of encouragement, instead of me telling you do not be afraid, I will say be afraid. If you're gonna be afraid, just do it anyway. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. You can do it and do it scared. Just do it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
also
A lot of
again,
us are
like
doing it
yeah,
scared.
just do it scared. And encouragement is it can be very tough sometimes in the Filipino artistry because we at the same time are all from very similar cultures around the
Mm-mm,
Philippines,
mm-mm.
but it's understandable that the way the mass market sees us is they kind of condense us into like a small stereotype. And sometimes it feels like there's competition among peers and we're meant to be, a community together. So for encouragement, I'd say in the end, your story is the only way you can tell it. And as long as you stay true to what interests you and what you're passionate about, the right people will show up. You don't have to saturate yourself for everybody, because people are genuine. People can tell if you are being very honest about your work, and you will
Mm-hmm.
attract the right people. But yes, the biggest advice though is if you're scared, I understand. Just do it scared.
That's beautiful. But how is it by Rachel?
Mhm.
Like, how, give us an idea on how it is in this to be part of this group of the Filipino literary scene, at least in the GTA, because you were saying no that Salaysay as a group is really
Mhm.
concentrated on the GTA for good reason. So how is it like? How is that landscape? How is that industry? How this is the group like?
I will say, there's always something happening in the community, in the Filipino literature community and the literature community. What's great about Salaysay, for example, is if there's an event happening, someone will say, "Oh, there's this event happening here," and then whoever's free will come join, and you never need to go to things alone, which is really, really great. But I'll say in the landscape, it's getting much better when you look at awards like the CBC Book Awards. You can actually see more Filipino artists and authors coming up. And one thing about Salaysay is that it's very welcoming. This is feedback I've heard from a lot of folks that no matter where you are at in your career, you could just be starting, you could be well on your way to have many awards. We all hang out together, and it's not very intense where you need to write these many pages, have these accolades just to join. Like someone who maybe writes at the most maybe just fan fiction and they're thinking of writing something that can be published could also be in the same room as someone who has won many awards. And I will say it's actually very encouraging. If you're going to ask me to do a broad stroke of how the community feels like these days, it's encouraging. And the best feeling is when you show up to an event or a workshop and you recognize someone in the room and you go, "Oh,
Hmm.
you're a Salaysay," or even better, "Oh, you're a Filipino author who I don't know. Let's I would like to know you so I can connect you with other more Filipino authors." So it's a really, really good feeling.
And why do you think is this important? You said nga that the community is small, no? The Filipino writers community in Toronto. And I'm guessing in the whole of Canada is small.
Mhm.
Bakit importante? Why is it important for you guys to be supporting each other?
I think especially if you're an author, in the end, being an author is a very solitary career. It's generally very lonely. In the end, it's just you and your notebook or your laptop. So having other folks who are not just writers, but people from similar backgrounds to you that understand like the struggles of what it's like to be Filipino and also very specific like concepts or cultural psychology that is really hard to put onto paper. You're surrounded by mentors, by colleagues, and people who are just encouraging. It's very nice to see your colleagues and your friends be awarded for things and having the opportunity to celebrate them and knowing that when your time comes, the same folks will be there to celebrate you. I think especially in, I'm going to be very honest, especially in a place like North America where it's very individualistic, everyone is
Mm-hmm.
doing their own thing. It's such a breath of fresh air to be doing something genuinely with other people in a community. And I really feel like that is the beauty of the Filipino community. There's this idea that if you're on the TTC and you see someone who's Filipino, you do a double take because you think, oh, I actually think I might know them. Or
Mm-hmm.
I think we might be related. But that's also just because there's so much familiarity among the community and more so like in the writer Filipino community.
Oo nga, no? I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
sounds like I appreciate the way you're saying this very authentically and like it's something very practical and lived in. And I can imagine your world as you say these things na tama nga kasi all of us are whatever industry you're in, no, if you're in
Mm-hmm.
finance, if you're in whatever, it would be good to be able to have that group where they understand you because they understand the demands of your career. And especially with artists, like whether you're a visual artist, you're a writer. So, buti naman meron pala tayo talagang grupo na ganito that are supporting each other. They show up for each other's events. No, they help each other out, I suppose. And then you have tell us about your events. And I'm sure this summer marami kayong naka-line up, right?
There's this summer, specifically June is Filipino Heritage Month. So there's so many events and Salaysay, and not if even if it's not specifically Salaysay, you'll see Salaysay books circling around if there's a market happening. Some events that we've done that we're looking forward to hopefully doing next time we get funding are like our Salaysay, the first Filipino Canadian literature event that we held in partnership with the Toronto Public Library a couple years ago. If ever anyone's at these events, you'll notice the first thing is that it's very lively. Everyone wants to catch up. Everyone wants to talk to each other. Everyone wants to get to know you if they don't know
Mm-hmm,
you.
mm-hmm.
I will say that we have so many events scattered because there's so many writers and people are having book launches, people are having workshops. For example, there's one coming up, I think, for Pride Month specifically with Chris that is, and then he's going to be talking about his book. And I would say the best thing you could do to stay on top of that is to go to the Salaysay Instagram, Salaysay_Toronto, because it's very active. I
Mm-hmm,
have a
mm-hmm.
sneaking suspicion Jenna is the one who is in charge of that social media account because she's very, very, what's to say, active in posting and letting everyone
Uh-huh.
know in the stories what event is happening this week. So that's a great
Right.
way to stay in touch.
And can people just join or like if they're not part of Salaysay and they're hearing our conversation right now and they're into writing.
Yes, if you are Filipino Canadian and you are within the GTA, feel free to reach out to the Instagram, send us a message, and we would be more than happy to add you to the WhatsApp where all these events and conversations are happening. Our only rule, and generally always reminds people, is that other than being in the GTA, so we can physically be together, is you have to be nice. You have to be kind. You have to be nice. That's the
That
only
is the
other
most
rule.
important rule,
Yeah.
actually, for a group, right? It's
Yeah.
people exert effort. You put your stories, your confidence, your safety in that group. So
Exactly.
that's very reasonable to demand. And you also have this. You're also an editor of a
Hmm.
magazine called Lore.
Oh
I
my.
think we have a
Yes.
photo of that. And congratulations is in order because this just won Magazine of the Year at the National
Yes.
Magazine Awards. Yeah, and you're releasing the fourth issue this August?
Yes, we're releasing. So I'm the editor of Lore Magazine I'm one of an amazing team. Our editor in chief is Isaac Nicholas and Fox. And we were shocked that we won Magazine of the Year. This is a very new magazine. We are only on our third issue, and we have our fourth issue coming up in August. Lore is basically about Toronto life, but also looking at concepts with some brevity. For example, this issue that's the most recent one is on cults, but we looked at it in a very like how should I say in a way that won't bum people out, just to like talk about what is a cult and what are like the like social media cults out there, and
Mm-hmm.
how do you find space together. I will say the next coming issue is very interesting. It's on clubbing, like going out to club and what do clubs look like. A big sell for this magazine, well, a big sell according to the editor in chief, is we're doing an article in this issue where I pitched that me personally, a 30-year-old woman who is married, I've never been to the club in my life. So I told the
Really?
editor, would it be very funny if I went for the first time in my life and we did it like a documentary, like a science experiment? And
Yeah,
it kind of
yeah.
escalated. It became a pretty big event in Toronto, and it was wonderful. It happened 2 weeks ago. The the experience was great. I learned a lot, and I think I'll be going back again. I think I've discovered a new part of myself. And even to this day, people from the street who I don't know will recognize me from the post and be like, "Oh, are you the person who went to the club? Can you tell me how it was?" So
That's
I'm
awesome.
excited.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, sabi ni Andrew Palasigi, clubbing in the 2000s. Oo
Hmm.
nga, when you said clubbing, it reminded me of the times that I would go to the club. And those are wonderful moments where you can just set yourself free with the loud music, and just move
Yeah.
to whatever, however you want to move. So yeah, glad to hear you'll be going again.
I think I will.
And then maybe you can DM me the good clubs to go to here in Toronto.
I'll let you know.
Clubbing culture sa Prestige Wild. Sorry, I'm not familiar. What is Prestige Wild? You clubbers out there. Okay. And yeah, so the time has flew very quickly. Um, is there anything else that I missed that maybe you wanna impart to our audience?
Um, I think I would just want to double down on the advice I had given earlier to if you have a story and you're terrified to share it or even just write it, I would say do it scared, just do it. And I regret not doing things earlier, and I feel like I'm trying to make up for lost time, honestly. But because I was surrounded by a community like Salai, I had the courage to put myself out there.
Somebody messaged me if they're not outgoing but would like to be part of this and would like to have the support of a group because they're a budding writer or illustrator but not very outgoing. What, yeah, how would that be?
Um, I would say start very small. You can just, if you are on social media a lot, maybe you can just, in a positive way, stalk accounts that you really like, get to know styles you like. Maybe you can slowly show up to workshops or launches. You don't have to talk to
Mm.
anyone. You can just be present. And then maybe with practice, if that's what you want to do, you'll start being open and talking to people. But start very small if it's a big thing.
That's a very good advice because some people
Yeah.
are shy,
Of
especially
course.
And I know like a lot of artists are protective of their work, like they're not
Mm-hmm.
very confident about showing it just yet. They might be in that stage. So thank you so much for that question. I don't think she wants me to mention her name, but appreciate your answer. Thank you so much, Rachel.
No problem.
Okay, we'll keep in touch. Definitely. I think Rachel is one person that I'm going to be uh, texting every now and then and asking what's going on. Seems to have a very interesting dip on what's happening in the GTA, no, in and around Toronto. The kind of events that I like to go to because I love books. I'm a I'm a bookworm myself. So thank you so much for that guesting. I personally enjoyed that. And may guest din tayo tomorrow, another artist. And I'd want you to stay tuned to that also because she's ano naman, a ceramics artist, I believe, no? I still don't know her that much kasi sometimes people would message me and suggest who we can guest. And then what I do is I get in touch with them or I try to find out about them. Syempre we vet our ano here, no? I choose which ones to show you guys, 'di ba? Kaya tomorrow we have another artist guest. So I'm excited for that as well. Hoping you can join us again tomorrow. Ano yung mga messages natin dito? Clubbing in the 2000, Joker and Government. Is that what is that? A club? Namimik, oh, it's a Filipino club. Oh, ayan, ang mga club goers naglabasa na. Okay, thank you so much for all of you. Thank you so much to all of you who watched us today. We'll see you again tomorrow here on Out for Lunch on FTV. Bye.